Hey everyone, so this video is to give you guys a little bit more guidance on the Black Death assignment that you are looking at two different sources about people that lived during the Black Death and how they interpreted that event. So first, let me give you guys a little bit of background. This is going to be a review and maybe a little bit more information from the video that you watched on Tuesday on Edpuzzle. So today's assignment is called Understanding the Black Death. You're going to be looking at, as I said, two different documents, one from the University of Paris and one from a Muslim scholar. So the Black Death, aka the bubonic plague, decimated large populations around parts of the world between the 1330s and the 1350s. Although there's continued debate about the origins of the plague, many scientists and historians today believe that the plague resulted from the bacteria Yersinia pestis, which is common in fleas and carried by rodents. Yuck. Once the bacteria jumped to humans, it became highly contagious. Symptoms of the bubonic plague included fever, gangrene, like literally like your flesh rotting, chills, cramps, seizures, and painful swelling of the lymph glands called buboes. Most people who contracted the plague died within days. At the time of the pandemic, it was called the Great Pestilence, the Great Plague, or the Great Mortality. The term, the Black Death, came into popularity among German and English speakers in the 19th century and continues to be used today. So the plague most likely originated in China in the 1330s and traveled west along trade routes by both land and sea in the 1340s. The plague was a pandemic. It killed between 75 and 200 million people across 3 different continents. So sidebar, what we're seeing today with COVID is not entirely without precedent in world history. Death rates included approximately 1/3 of the population in the Middle East and nearly 1/2 of the population in Europe for the Black Death. People in the 14th century had little knowledge of how the plague originated, how it spread, or how to treat it. So today, we know that social distancing works to prevent people from getting sick. But back then, you're going to read that they thought they could prevent illness in some interesting ways. Across the world, people struggled to make sense of the pandemic. To give just one example, flagellation, a religious practice of whipping oneself for penance, or meaning forgiveness for sins, grew in popularity during the Black Death. Yes, a lot of people thought that this was an act of God that they were being punished for, so some people resorted to whipping themselves a lot. So here's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be looking at this central historical question. How did people in the 14th century understand the Black Death? So in this assignment, you have 2 different documents, as I said, one from the University of Paris and one from a Muslim scholar named Ibn al-Wardi. So reading these 2 documents, what you're going to do is you are going to fill out this sourcing chart. You do not need to write incomplete sentences for this assignment. You just simply need to write down the answer. So for each document, document A and document B, you are going to tell me, number 1, who wrote it, number 2, when and where the document was written, number 3, why the document was written, 4, according to the document, where did the Black Plague come from, and 5, what did the author of this document suggest people do to treat the plague or avoid getting it? So the answers to questions 1 and 2, who wrote it and where and when was it written, can be answered in this italicized section at the top of each document. So here or here. Question number 3, why was this document written? This one you're going to have to infer a little bit. Based on the document, why do you think the person or the people who wrote it did? What was the point? Questions 4 and 5, you're going to have to read the entire document to get. So according to the document, where did the Black Plague come from? Do they think that it came from a certain place, or do they think it was divine intervention? And then 5, what did the document suggest that people do to either avoid getting the Black Plague, or if they had it, how can they treat it? Also, one more thing, before you read the documents, take a look at these vocab sections at the bottom, because there are going to be some vocab words that you're probably not familiar with, and that is okay. That is why this vocabulary section is here for you. So make sure that you take a look at those so you understand what these documents are saying. As always, if you need any help, please contact me for an individual Zoom meeting or through the Remind app or through email. I am viewing a movie with the psychology class from 2 to 4 this afternoon. So because of that, I'm going to push this assignment to be due tomorrow in case you need to meet with me.